Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Introverts Talk 2 podcast. Well, welcome. If you're new, my name's Kirsten. I'm your host, and I am here to have a conversation as we do in podcasts. Let's talk. So I wrote some notes down because these are actually the same notes I've been following for the last 3 times I tried to record this episode. I don't know what's up with me lately, but I'm being super perfectionist when it comes to recording podcasts and the quality of it and making sure it sounds good and making sure what I'm saying makes sense. So yes, 3rd time I've recorded this episode. First time, we don't even want to get into that. But anyway, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing all right. I'm trying my best to feel good and be positive and, everything like that. So what are we talking about today? I don't know if it's just me, but something's been it's been freaking me out lately, okay? And I mentioned this on TikTok, I think a couple times. I've seen other people mention it, people my age, like the earlier half of Gen Z, kind of mentioning this a little bit more than usual. And then it kind of made me also think about it. There were other aspects of it that it's caused me to think about it. Other different things that made me sit down and go, wow, this is a little bit scary. And that one thing is social media. Wow. Oh my gosh. That sounds so annoying. Ugh. Okay. Yeah. Social media has been freaking me out a little bit. Okay. Not social media itself, not just TikTok scares me, Instagram scares me. No, it's not that. It's the effects that social media has on an individual, the effects that it can have on your mind, on your memory, on your mental health, and just everything is kind of just hitting me. I don't know why. It's just suddenly it just hit me. Okay, and we're gonna unpack that today. I do post on social media a lot lately because I've been trying to promote my podcast and promote my artwork and trying to get my projects and stuff out there. I mean, obviously right now it's the easiest way to get stuff out there and your projects and whatever. If you wanted to gain attention towards something that you're working on, social media is probably going to be your first go-to, right? To get that out there. I did post about how I'm feeling like social media is a bit scary. And somebody commented oh, you're posting about how scary social media is on social media, with a face to the palm to the face emoji. And I'm okay, I did make a response video since took it away because there was no need to respond. I did want to mention though that just because I post on social media, it doesn't mean that there's not aspects about it that's scary to me, So there's been a couple of things that's actually made me sit down and think about this, okay? And it starts off with a story time. And I'm trying to keep this short and sweet because the last couple times I tried to talk about it, I was going and going, and I kind of whatever. Let's just talk. I made a TikTok account for my podcast, right? Originally. I had one for my art account, and that's where I probably saw the most I guess social media success for myself. I started posting on TikTok. I really frowned upon TikTok before I started posting on it. I started posting and then I realized that, that's kind of the platform where you post something and it's really easy to get some views. It's really easy to get some followers. So I started posting and I started gaining followers, and now I have more followers than I've ever had on any platform. It's not that many, but it's some. And I really was happy because it was about my art, and I was wow, people actually care about my art. Maybe, whatever. So I'm not just art. I'm not just about art. There's things, that I'm passionate about other than art. And I wanted to post about those things, but I didn't really want to post it on my art account, right? Because it was unrelated, right? So I didn't want to just post these random things. I wanted to keep my art account strictly art, So I was let me just make another account. I finally made another account after a while, after thinking about it. Do I even want another account? It really is probably not that deep. But I think things through 100 times before I actually do it. So I made this account, right, for my podcast specifically, and myself, for me to post whatever I really wanted about myself and my thoughts on things that I'm passionate about, my podcast and everything like that. And that's where I really wanted to start promoting my podcast. I had already started posting my episodes, but I was kind of hesitating to talk about it on social media. I finally did that. I started posting here and there about my podcast, like, hey, just to let you guys know I have a podcast. And those videos wouldn't get many views, if I'm being totally honest. I wasn't like super discouraged about it or anything, but they wouldn't get many views. And I was doing this for maybe about, I'll say, a month or month and a half. And at that point, I had maybe about 100 followers. And, it wasn't that serious, So I started actually doing story times because I like story times. I don't mind story times. But one day I did a story time about my experience working at Target. And I don't know if anyone's seen that video, but I posted that video talking about how I felt like I was being mistreated while working at Target. I felt like I was being targeted at Target. And I posted that video not expecting much. And honestly, it didn't get many views. It didn't get much attention at first, like the first week and a half. It really didn't. But suddenly I started seeing more likes on it, like likes coming through. I'm like, oh, so it must be getting some attention. And at that point, I had already posted way more videos after that. So I had to scroll through my account. And I'm looking at this video and I'm like, oh, okay, we're sitting at about 2,000 views here. Okay, so I didn't know people related to it, I guess. I don't know. They were commenting how like, oh my gosh, my experience was like that as well. Blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. And I started seeing a couple more followers coming through and I was like, oh, that's cool. People are relating to this story time here. That's pretty lit. I can't believe I just said lit. Let's ignore that. So, I keep checking back in on this video and it started going, it got to 5,000 views, right? Then it got to 10,000, then it got to 20,000, 50,000, then it was at 100,000. And 100,000 is like the most views I've ever got on anything on social media at that point. Since then it's been, more, but so I'm watching these views come in. Then I hit like 500,000. And 500,000, I think that's where you start going, okay, that's a lot of people. Okay, that's a lot of people. All right. Not much later, I hit 1 million views on that video, and people were they were stitching the video, talking about that they've had the same experience. I didn't know what it was, but I guess it's just the fact that it was a relatable experience. People really were like relating to it, and that was just causing people to be interested in that video anyway. So they were telling me their experiences, and then eventually I reached 2 million views on that video. And at this point, I had gained about an extra 3,000 followers from this one video. Okay, stay with me because that's an important part. I gained 3,000 followers from this video, and I was like, great, now I have 3,000 followers. I can link my podcast in the bio. I can talk about my podcast, promote my podcast to these 3,000 followers, and maybe it'll get more views than I'll ever imagine, whatever. So I do that, right? I link my podcast in the bio, as I can finally do because I have over 1,000 followers. I started talking about my podcast, and I was really frustrated because every time I would post something about my podcast, it would get only maybe about 300 views. And that was really frustrating to me because it's just like, why am I not getting like the 2 million views that I just got on this Target video? That's ridiculous. That's not fair. And I was getting honestly, I was frustrated. I was really honestly mad. I was like, why? Why did it have to be the Target video? Why couldn't it have been a video about my podcast, right? So I'm like, how can I like do this again? How can I keep this up? Because I want to keep this up, And I was like, maybe I just got to do another Target story time, right? I do it. Boom, 10,000 views. I know it's not 2 million, but it's better than 200, right? So I made another video responding to some of the comments, and that gave me more views than talking about my podcast. So I'm like, maybe I need to just start doing story times about my experience working at Target, or just story times in general, because it seems people like story times, right? That's what I did. And let me tell you, I didn't realize until I sat back and watched these videos, or until I sat back and stopped posting these videos, that every single one of these videos had somewhat of a negative connotation to it. There was some drama tied to it. There was something negative that had to do with it. And those videos did get views. And I didn't realize until then. I was like, wow, people love a negative story. People love to hear something negative, something full of drama, something that is not, doesn't always have a positive ending. You know what I'm saying? And I realized that I didn't realize that when I was posting, because I was just posting about all these story times of things that were minor inconveniences to me, and I was talking about how I hate the proctoring system at my school online, and how frustrating it is that they have to scan your room over Zoom or video chat or whatever, and how invasive it is. And I was talking about my experience in high school and how I hated how teachers would make you feel like you were nothing, and like I would just talk about all of these different things that were negative, and I would post these things on social media, not realizing that I'm doing this because I'm trying to mimic the vibe of the target video. You know what I'm saying? So I can possibly get more views. Were those videos getting views? Somewhat. They were. It wasn't no 2 million, but it was views. And I kept posting these videos in hopes that maybe one of these videos will go viral again, and maybe I'll get another 2 million views out of somewhere. I'm being really transparent right now. This is how I was like honestly thinking. And I would stand there talking about these things I don't like about college. Like, why? That's not cute, in my opinion. I'm sorry. I mean, I think every once in a while, talk about those things. But to constantly make a conscious effort to talk about negative stories and negative things, that can't be good for you. That can't be good for your soul. You know what I'm saying? For your mind, for your brain to like constantly think about these negative things. And then I'm posting these things on social media, right? But in the meantime, without me realizing it, I'm painting myself to be kind of a negative person. And I didn't, again, realize this until I sat back and watched these videos and was like, oh crap, this is not cute. I don't like this at all. I always try to be a positive person. I like to be a cup half full type person. And I really do believe that if you look at things more positively, then the outcome will be more positive. If you look at things more positively, the journey will be more positive. I honestly do believe that. So like, for me to be sitting here painting myself as this negative person, I really was like, that's kind of shook me a little bit. And I didn't and after, posting these, and after like a couple months and realizing that, it kind of really did like make me a little unsettled. It really did. It made me feel very weird, and it was a weird feeling. So that was a really unsettling thought for me, and I didn't really know what to do. One, because I didn't want to lose the followers that I had gained from that target video, because when you stop posting, your followers do kind of diminish. And I didn't want to keep posting these negative stories. I did want to post my podcast, but I know if I did, I wouldn't be getting the same amount of views. I wouldn't be getting the same amount of followers. Why is it that I had to feel that way? And why is it that I'm relying on these followers so much? That's one thing about social media that scares me. The things that it'll make you do without you even realizing it. The things that it'll make you feel without you even realizing it. I have seen other TikTokers or social media people who have had a video go viral, and they have to continue making videos that look like the video that it went viral. It doesn't really matter what it is. It could be a hilarious video. It could be a dance video. But for me, it just so happened to be a negative story time. So anybody could continue making the videos that they want to make. If it was a funny video that went viral, keep making your funny videos. Go for it. I mean, that's great. You're making somebody laugh. But for me, it's just digging up drama that I don't really need to be digging up. You know what I'm saying? And putting it on social media and painting myself to be this negative person. So that was just one thing that I kind of freaked me out a little bit, that I didn't realize that I was doing this until I sat back and stopped posting and realized that, okay, social media is controlling me. I don't like being controlled by social media, and I don't like to feel like I have to do something. I have to post this story in order to keep this amount of followers. I feel like that's weird. If you think about it, I don't know. These followers that I don't even know, these people that I can't even see. Anyway, does that not freak anybody out? I don't know. Because I'm not that type of person, really. But anyway, I want to move on to another thing that is kind of is unfortunate when it comes to social media, that kind of freaks me out because it does have like an effect on you. And that is constant comparison. You can easily compare yourself to other people, right? You might see somebody else that is living this life that you feel like you think you want to live, right? And I do it all the time. Like someone that has an opportunity in the arts, it's not that I'm not happy for them. Of course I am, but it's just like, I've been posting for a while, like why hasn't that happened for me, And it's easy to compare yourself, and then you go, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I need to change my art style. Maybe I need to switch up the way I'm posting or how I'm posting, or I don't know, do something different. Comparison, you're comparing yourself to somebody else's journey. Maybe that was literally how they like to do something, but you probably have your own way. And maybe your time hasn't happened yet. Something I have to tell myself sometimes. Maybe it just hasn't happened yet. Maybe you do need to try a little bit harder, but it's not cool to compare yourself to someone else's journey, because honestly, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You really don't. And yeah, with social media, when you're seeing the successes from everybody else's journey, you're seeing like where they have come, but you haven't really seen the blood, sweat, and tears that they had to put into whatever it is that they were working on. And it kind of just makes you feel like, man, why am I not there? Like, oh, come on. Like, why is this not working for me? But in reality, they had to do a lot to get to where they are. They had to really push themselves, really work hard, but you didn't see that part. Because on social media, you only see a bit of what everything is. And we almost think that that's the full picture. But in reality, it's only the smallest bit. And then you compare yourself to that. It's scary. And then maybe you want to change yourself. You want to change what you're doing. You want to change how you're doing something and second guess yourself and say, maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe I'm just not good enough to be there. And in reality, all you need to do is wait and work a little bit harder. I won't say wait. I'll say give it time. Maybe you need more time to grow and mature that idea that you have, or that business that you're doing, or that project that you're working on. But maybe there's that person that you're looking at, that person that you're comparing yourself to, maybe they were ready. And I need to tell myself this sometimes. Maybe I just need to work on my stuff, perfect my stuff as much as I can. And then maybe I'll be ready to really push a little bit more for that end goal that I'm looking for. But in the meantime, comparing myself to that person's journey is not going to do me any good. All it's going to do is make myself more frustrated and question my process. So I don't think that that's good or cute to compare yourself. Okay. Not from like someone else's perspective, just from your personal perspective. It's not good for you. Okay. I've literally been standing up this entire time recording this thing. Like, I have not sat down yet. And I'm telling you, when I sit down and record, I don't know, I feel tired. Sometimes I want to go to sleep. Maybe it's the Celsius that's got me standing up. I don't know. Like at the end of the week, everybody gets their time, their screen time, their average. And, yours can sit around 5 hours a day to, 12 hours a day. Hopefully not, people. Mine sits around 7 to 8 hours a day. And I see that every week and I get mad at myself. Okay? Because I'm like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? I understand how social media affects me mentally, but why am I just still sitting here scrolling? Why? What am I doing? Why? I'm really working on getting my screen time down to 3 to 4 hours. I really want to. That is something I want to do. But when you're posting some stuff about your podcast and your projects and your artwork, and this is just me, this is what I do. When you're doing that, I feel like it's kind of hard to once you press post, it's kind of hard to not start scrolling through your explore page or for you page. It's kind of hard to just exit out the app and that's it. You're gonna post and then you start watching your For You page. There's a video that captures your attention and then you start scrolling and it's just you just keep going. I really want to gain control of that. I don't want to not know how to stop scrolling. Here's another thing that kind of freaks me out. When you're scrolling on social media, the problem is you might see a video, right? And the first video you see is a happy video. I'll say funny. It's a funny video. It makes you laugh. Then you scroll to the next video and it kind of has a sad vibe, right? and you're like, oh, that's sad. So then you scroll again, and then the next video is a uplifting, happy video, right? You scroll again, and the next video is someone asking people questions on the street, and you get mad because the question was so easy, but the person got it wrong, right? And then you scroll again, it's a dance video, and then you scroll again, it's an angry video, someone mad about something, right? That is way too many emotions to take in under 2 minutes. There's no way that's healthy. There's no way. And then you get off of your phone, and then you got a headache, you're frustrated, you're like, what was I doing? What was the point of me being on here? Wait, what was I doing before I got on my phone? I can't even remember. Maybe, Kirsten, it's because you just took in 10 different emotions in under 3 minutes. And now you're overstimulated, now you're frustrated, and now you don't know how to like bring that back down. So now you're at a place where you're kind of just like, you're on 10 because your brain just took in all of that. And there's things that you have to do, things that you have to accomplish today. You got tasks to do today, but you can't even bring yourself back down to focus on those tasks. Now your brain is craving this fast-paced stuff, so you just go back on your phone and you start taking in more stuff, and it's like way too much. And then at the end of the day, you accomplished what? Nothing. Great, fantastic. And that's what it feels like. I mean, I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but I feel like that's what I get from social media. Like sometimes, okay? Sometimes. This just feels like a therapy session. I'm so sorry if this feels like it. But if you're relating to this, if you know how that feels, yeah. I mean, it's hard to describe, but the fact that it has the power to suck you in, and it's kind of hard to like get out of that, scrolling. That's scary, because it's just like, I don't even want to be on social media right now, but for some reason I can't stop scrolling. Why? I have no idea. I also noticed something, and I want to know if anybody else thinks that this is crazy, or if anyone thinks this makes sense, but hear me out, okay? You know how everybody's like, time is moving so fast. It was literally just 2019, like 5 minutes ago. How are we in 2023, and how is it already February? Okay, hear me out. You know how trends go by really quickly now? Like those little like music trends, those trends that are the sounds that are trending on TikTok. I know when I hear a sound from TikTok that was from like 2 years ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, remember that time? Wow, that's crazy. I don't know if anybody else does that. So if we have like trending sounds, right? Trending dances, trending things on TikTok, right? Or on social media in general. And that's almost how we calculate time. That's how we make note of time, right? But these trends are going by every week, right? So like these trends will be trending for about a week and a half, and then they're done. And then another trend will come up, and it'll be trending for like 2 weeks, and then it's done. And then each trend is only lasting for about 14 days, and then it's all kind of over. It kind of just diminishes into nothing, And if that's how we're keeping note of time, wouldn't that make time go by much faster? I'm just saying. I feel like maybe people already have discovered this and realized this. I don't even think I'm discovering anything. I'm just like realizing something, and that may or may not be true, but I feel like that's a huge contributing factor to the fact that we think that time is going by faster. Like, we're like, why is time moving so quickly? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe we got to the bottom of something. Maybe I got to the bottom of something. Maybe somebody already realized this and already said something about it, but I have no idea. I don't know. That's what I realized. I just find that to be a little bit wild. How we calculate time sometimes has to do with trends on social media and things that happen on social media. And once those things diminish out and fizzle out to nothing, there's another trend already right behind it. And we're on to the next thing, and we're on to the next thing. It kind of makes time just like pass us by, you know what I'm saying? And that kind of is weird. I feel like it's really important to live in the moment. The other day I had class, and I was having a lot of trouble sitting down and focusing on my work, right? So I was like, why can't I just sit here and focus for more than like 20 minutes before I feel like I'm like antsy, I have to get up. And I realized that, and because I didn't want to be like walking around campus, just like wandering, doing nothing, and I wanted to be productive with my time. But I realized that's okay. I mean, I like walking, and I like thinking without my music playing, and I like observing my surroundings. I didn't want to waste my time staring at a screen, even though I was working on classwork that is due. I really enjoy walking around campus between my classes and observing what's going on around me and taking in the fresh air and being outside. I definitely don't like being inside during my break between classes because it's so beautiful outside right now in Florida. It's like a beautiful 70 degrees, breezy, sun out. It's not hot, but it's not cold at all. It's never cold in Florida, if I'm being totally honest. Not cold. All right. I'm from New Jersey, so I stand strong by that. I know what cold is. Anyway, I had to make that clear. I want to be able to enjoy that. So I recently thought, let me just do and not think so hard. So that's what I did. I started walking around, and I don't know, it feels so good to like live in the moment, kind of like, and just take a deep breath of fresh air. And I know it sounds so corny, but like it's honestly needed to do that, and to like observe your thoughts around you and put your phone away in your bag and like just like be aware. And I think we should do that more, and maybe time will go by less fast. Maybe it will. I don't know. Maybe it won't, but I think it could. So those were some of my things. I don't want to keep getting too deep into it. Maybe I'll do a part 2. I have some more things listed, but I want to make sure that I describe it to the best of my ability. And right now, I feel like I've done my best with what I have in my mind right now. This is the 3rd time I'm recording this, and if I keep going, I feel like I'm going to damage this pure podcast episode. So I don't want to do that. I might do a part 2. So those are just a few things about social media that kind of freak me out a little bit. Social media has like this superpower to like grab people's attention, suck people in, make people feel like they have to do something in order to be successful on social media. And it's always been that way, trying to paint the best life that you've ever had, even if you just post about yourself, to make it look like you're just living your best life on social media. I feel like that's kind of always been the vibe. Not like always, but it's always been the vibe. But now it's just become so competitive to do that. It's no longer about just posting videos and pictures with your friends, having a good time, because that at one point I think was the standard of living your best life. That was the goal, I guess, posting pictures with your friends and blah blah blah. But now it's become this competition now that you can make money from it, to become an influencer, to show the best shots that you possibly can in this beautiful kitchen where you're cooking this beautiful meal. And sometimes when you're watching these things in the moment, it feels unattainable. Like, okay, I have a pretty average life that I'm okay with, and I feel like you feel like you have to meet this expectation in order to be like, seen on social media, or to be, accepted or considered like, living your best life, I guess. But I feel like that's just become a super competition. I feel like it's not healthy all the time unless you're able to decipher what's real and what's not. But those are my things. Number 1, what did I say? What it can make you do, what it can make you feel. Number 2, I said like my usage. I don't understand how it keeps me so intrigued when I'm so not. You know what I mean? It's so weird. How quickly trends go by, and how I think that that's linked kind of to like time feeling like it's moving by faster. How many feelings it can make you feel at once, and you feeling overstimulated from it and not knowing where to start stopping, like it's hard to figure that out. And then also the competitiveness of it. It's almost no longer fun because you're waiting for likes and followers and things like that to prove yourself sometimes. Listen, like I'm saying, this can be for some people. It doesn't have to be for everybody, but that's just what I draw from social media sometimes. I enjoy things like posting about my podcast and stuff on social media. I don't really post much about myself anymore because that is one thing that, I don't know, I don't want to feel pressure to post about. My podcast I like because, first of all, I like recording the podcast. I love editing the podcast. That's where I get my fun out of it. I love editing. I like recording YouTube videos. The hard part is recording. The fun part to me is editing. I love editing. And then I love sharing it. I love painting. And then I love sharing it. I love, everything like that. I love creating in any way. Sharing it is fun, but the hard part is not comparing yourself to other people and not getting caught up in likes and follows when it's something that you really enjoy doing. So that's my 2 cents. That's what I think. So if you are one of those people who is a creative, is someone that wants to become an influencer or something like that, focus on what you really want before just focusing on likes and views and stuff like that. Focus on perfecting your craft, perfecting your creative, whatever that is. And then once you perfect that, good will come from that, I think. So that's all I have to say for today. That's what I think on social media. I may again make another part to this because I feel like there's a lot of different aspects. I want to do a little bit more research before like going more in depth, but that's all I have for today. So thanks for listening. Thanks for clicking. Thanks if you have made it this far. I really do appreciate it. I hope you are enjoying the podcast. If you want to follow me on my socials for this podcast, my Instagram for this podcast is Introverts Talk 2, just spelled right out, just like the name of the podcast. And then my TikTok for the podcast is Introverts Talk 2 Podcast, again, just spelled right out. So I would love if you followed those and let me know what you think. Send me a DM, send me a comment or something, or just let me know what you think. Write a review on Apple Podcasts. I would really love it. I do appreciate knowing what you think about the podcast, because, it gives me kind of a general idea of how I'm doing. But yeah, my name's Kirsten. I'm your host. Thanks for listening. I digress, and I hope to have you back listening to the next episode. All right, I'm done. Goodbye.